We are keeping up with the Capitol in tonight's big story breakdown.
State lawmakers voted to advance a bill some Oklahomans say would make filing an initiative petition more complicated. Fox 25's David Chasanoff joins us now. David, how do both sides of the aisle feel about this issue?
Adam Wendy, here at the Capitol, lawmakers were divided on this issue, with Republicans wanting this to pass while Democrats pushed for it to fail.
I declare the bill to have passed.
The purpose of this is to make sure that all counties are engaged.
Senate Bill 1027 requires no more than 10% of the total number of initiative petition signatures to come from a county with a population over 400,000.
To make sure that, yes, the metros are included, as well as the rural areas.
State Rep Mickey Dollins voted against the bill after he tried to pass an amendment extending the signature gathering time from 90 days to 180.
It was tabled, revealing the true intention of this bill, which isn't rural representation, but it's to silence all Oklahoma voices.
Amber England says, as someone with lots of initiative petition experience, she feels the bill has bad intentions.
Senate Bill 1027 is nothing but a power grab from politicians who are trying to take power away from voters and give it to themselves in special interest. It's a terrible bill, and the governor should veto it the second it gets to his desk.
England adds she has tried to put something on a ballot at least 6 times, and restricting the process even more takes power away from voters.
Oklahoma already has one of the toughest ballot measure processes in the country. For them to say that it's anything other than a power grab is pretty laughable.
And since the House added amendments, the bill now heads back over to the Senate. Dollins and England say if you have any concerns, call the governor's office to ask him to veto this. Reporting live at the state capitol, David Chasanoff, Fox 25 News.
Thank you, David. And a measure we've been tracking as it makes its way through the Capitol is the Food Truck Freedom Act, aimed at protecting Oklahoma's growing mobile food vendor industry by creating a statewide licensing system for food truck operators. Under House Bill 1076, vendors must still adhere to operational standards, including keeping their vehicles clean and in good repair and maintaining cleanliness within a 25-foot radius. Governor Kevin Stitt now signed this measure into law. A measure reorganizing when certain elections are held in Oklahoma passed the House floor this week. Senate Bill 652 would establish 5 election days to happen annually in February, April, June, August, and November. Right now, there's currently 12 possible election dates in odd-numbered years and 7 in even-numbered years. This measure passed unanimously and now returns to the Senate.
Former Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter is taking legal action against the Oklahoma State Board of Education. He is targeting the process they used to pass new social studies standards.
This comes after the legislature did not take action on the standards before the May 1st deadline, despite 3 joint resolutions. As Fox 25's Paige Taylor explains, Hunter is claiming the board did not follow its own internal rules and procedures.
Simply put, the state board broke its own rules and ignored due process.
That's the reason why former Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter says he is representing Oklahoma parents, grandparents, and teachers in a legal challenge against the Oklahoma State Board of Education. The challenge is mainly focused on how the process of the social studies standards were passed, rather than the content. Hunter says the board violated its own procedures and did not adhere to established law. He says there are between 7 and 9 plaintiffs in the suit.
They are not asking for money damages. Instead, they are seeking a court of law's review of the circumstances under which the standards were adopted to determine whether they were legally before the legislature. They want their children, their grandchildren, and their pupils to be educated in a way that's consistent with the law.
Democrats called on the legislature to reject the social studies standards after expressing concern over not only the content of the standards, but also the process of how the standards made their way to lawmakers. House Minority Leader Cindy Munson says she is grateful someone is addressing the issue.
That is another piece of this entire issue around the social studies standards that we've heard from Oklahomans that say, hey, if there's a process, if there are rules in place, play by those rules, go by the process so that everybody can be on the same page.
In a statement to Fox 25, Superintendent Ryan Walters saying in part, quote, time and again, these radical teachers unions are standing against the future of Oklahoma's education system and the values we hold dear. We're proud of these standards and will keep fighting for an education system that puts students and our country first, end quote. Paige Taylor, Fox 25 News.
And Hunter says he also plans to ask the judge for a restraining order to keep the standards from going into effect while the lawsuit is pending. State Senator Michael Bergstrom recently filed a Senate joint resolution disapproving Ryan Walters' proposed administrative rules. This resolution got rid of a new OSDE rule that would require school districts to record the number of students that were illegal immigrants, and it removed a proposed rule that would force a teacher to pass a U.S. naturalization test before they get their teaching certificate. This joint resolution passed in a 6-to-1 vote. Well, creating a better environment for everyone in the classroom, that is the goal behind a new law to keep cell phones out of Oklahoma public school classrooms.
Fox 25's Burt Mumlow spoke with the author behind the bill about what inspired the legislation.
It took 2 years of legislative wrangling at the State House, but it has finally been signed into law. A cell phone ban in all public schools starting this fall and described as bell to bell.
Which means that they can't have it in between classes. They're just away for the day so that kids have the opportunity to focus for about 6 to 7 hours on their academics, work on their soft social skills, work on friendships, and, look each other and their teachers in the eye.
Senator Allie Seyfried authored the bill and says in addition to helping students, it'll also help teachers.
They are the ones that are having to say, put your phones away, put your phones away.
We had already created a cell phone policy which took cell phones out of the classroom.
TPS board member John Croissant says the bill wasn't needed.
It made no sense, but again, this is just another example of legislators trying to control everything and a little bit of government overreach instead of just allowing for local control.
I think that it's not government overreach at all. We're just saying you have to have a policy. How you enforce it is up to you.
The new law provides exceptions for medical conditions and use in emergencies. And the law only has a 1-year requirement, after which districts can keep it or not. That was a compromise to get the bill passed.
So I just wanted everyone to try it for 1 year, for every student in the state of Oklahoma to have, as much as possible, the same learning environment.
The bell-to-bell cell phone ban, taking cell phones away with the hope they'll be replaced by something else.
When you remove cell phones from classrooms, academic scores go up, behavioral issues go down, and it's a better environment for everyone.
Burt Mumlow, Fox 25.
The new law requires school districts clearly outline disciplinary actions for students who violate a school's phone-free policy. The law goes into effect this fall. House Democratic leader Cindy Munson urging Governor Stitt to veto Senate Bill 658 after it passed off the House floor. The measure prohibits the Department of Human Services from requiring any current or prospective adoptive or foster parent to accept or support any government policy regarding sexual orientation or gender identity that conflicts with their held beliefs as a conditions to adopt or foster. She says this legislation doesn't align with being pro-life or in favor of family values.
A lawmaker pushing to expand diagnostic mammography access is highlighting why it's necessary. We told you last night the governor vetoed House Bill 1389, saying insurance already covers mammograms. State Rep Melissa Provenzano says her bill would add contrast-enhanced mammograms and molecular breast imaging to the list of what diagnostic examination for breast cancer could include. She says in the 2 years since passing legislation to cover diagnostic mammograms, lawmakers have realized not every woman has access to the same machines, which can cause insurance companies to push back on coverage despite the law. She believes House Bill 1389 clarifies the language to ensure the access to care is there regardless of zip code. Despite the governor's veto, Provenzano says she's looking at all options to keep the bill moving forward.
We're continuing to see the governor sign legislation into law. Among the bills he's approved, House Bill 1364, designed to make it a misdemeanor offense to distribute revenge pornography created by AI. State Rep Tony Assenbeck, who authored the bill, says as technology evolves, so must our laws. And by closing this loophole, we're protecting Oklahomans from a deeply harmful and invasive form of abuse. The law takes effect November 1st.
Dozens of Oklahoma lawmakers now calling on the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn the landmark decision legalizing gay marriage. In the resolution filed earlier this week, lawmakers say allowing gay marriage goes against the state's constitution.
Fox 25's Tanya Motorsitsky spoke with lawmakers and local LGBTQ activists about the effort.
There's some very concerning things happening at the state level and the federal level.
One of those concerning things, Whitney Coppola, who is the Dennis R. Neal Equality Center's board president, says is the fight to overturn gay marriage.
It's incredibly upsetting to people in our community to have the threat of our rights being taken away. I also want to encourage people to not panic yet, because the Oklahoma legislature has no authority over the Obergefell case and the status of gay marriage in this country.
In 2015, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the Constitution does not limit marriage rights, allowing the legalization of the same-sex marriage across the country. But here in Oklahoma, some Republican lawmakers like Senator Dusty Devers and Representative Jim Olson filed a resolution earlier this week calling on SCOTUS to overturn gay marriage. Devers saying in a statement in part, in concert with Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, and together with the 42 co-authors of this resolution, we respectfully call upon the United States Supreme Court to overturn Obergefell and restore the state's constitutional authority to uphold marriage as it has been understood for millennia. Devers also quoting the Oklahoma's Constitution, where it says marriage exclusively as the union of a man and woman, a standard ratified by more than 75% of Oklahoma voters in 2007. While he says marriage, a covenant union between one man and one woman, is a pre-political institution established by God, witnessed in nature, and foundational to civil society. It is not the Supreme Court's covenant to redefine. Coppola says lawmakers saying things like this is harmful, but has faith in the court system to not allow baseless attacks on the LGBTQ community.
I would say if you're not in support of gay marriage, that's great. Don't get gay married. Focus on the things that actually impact everyday Oklahomans, like healthcare, food security, housing, education, because that's what's going to serve the people.
Tanya Motorzitsky, Fox 25 News.
Right now, there's no word on whether the resolution will be heard in the state Senate. Several other states, including Montana, Missouri, and Texas, also trying to push back on the 2015 decision. That was your big story breakdown. You can keep up with what's going on at the Capitol on OKCFox.com.
Plus, check out all of our previous big story breakdowns on our YouTube page. Just scan the QR code on your screen or search OKC Fox.